Hi guys, welcome to another interview with Niamh, a confidence and online growth strategy coach at ND Inspired. Niamh is such an amazing coach with so much wisdom and knowledge. I interviewed her before about self-confidence in one of my videos, and she gave 12 stunning tips on how to build self-confidence. That was fantastic. I encourage you to click on the link below this video afterwards if you haven't watched it yet. Hi, Niamh. How are you?
Hi, Kevin. Thanks so much for the lovely introduction. I'm doing great, thank you. And
No
hi to
problem.
everybody that's watching this.
Yeah. It's always a pleasure to have you as my guest. And
Ah,
today's
pleasure
topic,
to be back.
yeah. Today's topic is how to develop a positive mindset. So, what exactly is a positive mindset?
First of all, I have to say, great topic. I think it's really the fundamental. What is a positive mindset? Well, it's something that I definitely personally did not always have. And I've realized that it's the one significant shift that's made a difference in my life to have a positive mindset. So a positive mindset is a growth mindset. There's two things, a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. A fixed mindset, a person with a fixed mindset believes this is the way my life is. There's nothing I can do to change it. Everything that's happening in my life is as a result of external circumstances. Poor me, usually poor me, because they're usually not going to be having a happy life if they're, and it's all these external things that are causing, it's called an external locus of control. They believe they have an external locus of control. That is the fixed mindset people. Growth mindset people believe that we believe as growth mindset people that we have power over our situation. We have an internal locus of control. Our inner world is what actually the whatever is going on in our internal world, our external world is a reflection of that. There's a great quote, I love it. Our outer world is a reflection of our inner world. So a positive mindset, your question was, what's a positive mindset? A
Yeah.
positive mindset is somebody who has a mindset where they believe that they can change things for the better, that they have the power to change things for the better, that believes that the glass is half full instead of half empty, that believes that, okay, this is my challenge I'm experiencing, but with the right attitude and perspective, it's all about perspective. With the right perspective, I can use this for me. One of my favorite quotes, and I think I mentioned this when you interviewed me the last time, one of my favorite mantras, is it's happening for me, not to me. So a positive mindset is somebody who says, this is happening for me. How can I use this to my advantage? Not for me, it's happening to me. So it's like, really being positive on, I'll give an example. This morning, I was just laughing with a client who's working part-time in a job that she really, really, really doesn't like. And she wants to go full-time in her online business. And she was saying, oh, this is really hard. And I said, well, isn't that so awesome that you really hate it so much? That's such a gift because it's directing you, it's giving you a signpost towards, and it will push you extra hard to develop your own business faster. And yeah, it's seeing the glass as half full, like it's a good thing that you're suffering right now, seeing the good in everything. That's it in a nutshell.
Wow. And what are some of the elements that affect the way we think?
Oh, some of the elements that, well, of course, we're definitely conditioned from our childhood. We get a lot of programming from our childhood, the majority actually before the age of 7 years old. And a lot of that programming is in our subconscious mind. So even if we're doing lots of inner work, we might still feel, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough. The majority of the human population has that belief at some level, but some people have it a lot stronger than others. I'm not good enough, I'm not enough, I should be better. And if you have that belief, I'm not enough, I should be better, you're not going to put yourself out there, for example, if you've got this belief running, right? So if your negative beliefs are going to affect your mindset. Also, school, things like, being told you should be seen and not heard, you're not of value, you don't have a voice. Like, many females might believe, oh, I know this sounds really archaic, but believe that, I'm female, so I shouldn't, put myself out there. If you have that belief running, you're going to let that hold you back. Not every woman has that, but it really depends on your upbringing and, what experiences, your life experiences that have happened to you. But the great news is that if you recognize that and realize, that's a false belief, and then you can work on that belief. That's what I do as a coach, is we look at, well, why are you believing that? Where do you think the root of that is? So that you can then realize, that's not true. That's not true. What is true is that I am worthy and I have the power to make a difference in this world if I step up boldly and bravely, for example.
Wow. And do you think the media affect the way we think?
100%, 100%. The media, well, it depends on which media, but mainstream media is just feeding fear. It's an industry where it's going to have what's called hooks, it'll send some bait out like, oh, there's this tragic thing that's happened, and, drama to pull people in because they want viewers. And if they're saying, oh, everything's happy, nobody's going to view what they're looking at. So they feed fear. That's what they're in the industry of doing, is attracting people to watch or to read their newspaper. For example, the National Enquirer is a classic example. It's got brilliant hooks, but they're dramatic, and a lot of them are rubbish, to be honest, and they do nothing for lifting us up. If you get hooked in with that, I mean, Facebook is a great example. And lately with conspiracy theories and I don't know, lots of things where it's like, we're not even sure if they're true. But I mean, I've caught myself going into the comment section and just reading, and you're just lost. And then afterwards realizing that did nothing good for me. I could have spent that half an hour watching something really uplifting or reading a great book. By the way, a great book is a book called Mindset by Carol Dweck. She talks all about a growth mindset. So that is time much better spent than on mainstream media. I think my motto is just keep informed, because, we don't want to completely cut ourselves off from society, obviously. But if we cannot have influence it in a positive way, whatever painful situation is going on, then our time is much better spent by working on ourselves so we can impact the people around us in a positive way. So yeah, I don't watch the news at all.
Wow. So do you think people should avoid watching the news just to preserve their energy and mind?
I actually do, to be honest, yes. And it's very, that advice comes from, now, obviously, there is some sources where, to keep informed of, that we can trust, but, well, I don't want to name any channels here, but the mainstream, I would say the mainstream news, it's commonly advised by people like, okay, one person who's great called Tom Bilyeu. I follow him. Do you know him? Bilyeu is his last name. He's fantastic. He's very, very inspirational. He actually was the founder of Quest, those protein bars, and he sold that company for $1 billion. But he's a very down-to-earth guy, and he shares a lot about mindset. He's the one who says everybody should read Carol Dweck's book called Mindset. But he would be one person, one of many I know, that would advise, don't watch the news, don't watch the news. And I agree with them. Don't watch it. I haven't, it's not, my mother thinks it's crazy that I don't watch the news or read newspapers. She's like, you have to keep informed, but I don't feel like I've missed out on anything. Obviously I am, when it comes to coronavirus, I have a rough idea of how many cases there are around me and, what precautions to take and to be sensible, but beyond that, I'm in my happy bubble, and that's where I choose to stay. It's just, it's part, and it's actually, this is genuinely, part of my work is to keep my vibe high, to keep positive, because I want to have a positive impact. And if I'm feeling low, then I'm not inspiring people to the same level. So it's a gift. I love my work for that. It's a requirement for my job. Just like for a tennis player has to keep really fit. If he's a pro tennis player or, a sports athlete, they have to keep themselves very fit. I have to keep myself mentally fit and high vibration if I want to do an effective job. So I'm not going to allow my energy to be drained or sucked by negative things, negative people as much as possible, right? I mean, then, if you have no choice in certain situations, then it's a great opportunity to, just breathe and let go, because we all have triggers in life, and I'm no exception to that rule.
Yeah, wow. I don't watch any news about COVID-19 to preserve my mind and energy.
Yeah, I think, I obviously have a lot of compassion for people who are affected by that, and people have been seriously affected by it. But yeah, I don't, and catastrophizing about the future doesn't help at all. Staying present. Okay, this, and looking for the good in the current situation. I know a lot of people are finding it very challenging with our movements are really restricted, not being able to fly to see family, and that's very painful. I know people who have lost family members, have lost parents, and haven't even been able to go to their funeral because they died of the coronavirus, and that's devastating. That's really tragic. But again, I'm not going to watch, and I did at the start 1 or 2 videos, those really heartbreaking stories, because even though I have compassion for those people, I cannot personally help them. What I can do is keep my vibration high and share inspiring content for people, to give people hope for a positive future, and also to let them know with a growth mindset. Remember, the fixed mindset was the one where you don't believe you have any power over your state, over your situation. And the growth mindset is where okay, if I feed myself good food, if I have good structure in my day, if I keep fit, if I keep my vibration high, I can make a real difference in this world, or a difference with the people around me. Even, I'm a mother to 3 children, and if I've slept enough, it's all, those simple things to keep in balance. If I sleep enough, if I'm in nature, if I'm doing things that keep me grounded, then I'm a more patient and present mother. Not always, but I do a lot better now than I used to. And it's just simply by being in balance and taking care of myself and taking care of my mind, having a positive mindset, a growth mindset.
Yeah. And what causes negative thinking?
So I would say many things, but blame is the one that comes to me. When you blame somebody else for, now that would be for me negative thinking, and I did a lot of it, believe me. So I know how it feels. I know how painful that is and that's why I'm so passionate about my work as well, because I want to let people know there is another way. You don't have to, that's unclear and incorrect thinking. When you're blaming somebody else, they hurt me, they let me, I feel pain because of them. Now, it could be something that somebody did 10 years ago, and it's like, they hurt me, it's their fault my life is like this. No, it's not. They did that 10 years ago. You're choosing negative thinking. You're choosing to hold onto it still. You're doing it to yourself. So realizing that, wow, if I decide to let go of it, it's actually nothing to do with them anymore. It's me holding on to the thing. So if I decide, with my growth mindset, decide I'm no longer buying into that story, I am responsible for my emotional state, and I'm responsible for doing things like being in nature, positive affirmations, reading books, and watching things that where I feel really positive. I'm responsible for that, and I can't blame anybody else out there for, because of Kevin. I'm joking, obviously not because of you, but because of Kevin or my dog over there, I'm in a bad mood. No, you're not. Get clear. It's like we get to decide how we respond to situations. And I mentioned something from 10 years ago, but it could be from half an hour ago, right? It's like, okay, I'm still upset about that, but what can I do to take responsibility for my state here? They did something, but it's up to me how I respond to that. Actually, if I can demonstrate this is something I do with clients often to demonstrate, and I think it could be useful for your viewers. So I'm, as an example that, here's a pen, right? It's totally innocent. I guess you probably don't have judgment unless you had something bad happen to you with a black pen.
Yeah.
So, okay, it's just an innocent pen, right? Yeah. But just saying that this was the pen that somebody used to write something bad about me or something. Okay, so the innocent pen, and then it comes and my thoughts I project onto this pen. I hate this pen, I hate this pen, right? And then it's no longer just this innocent pen, but my thoughts have created a story about it, right? So everything that happens in our lives is innocent until we project some thoughts about it. Same thing for people, right? It's like, okay, so there's that boss, there's that person in the corridor. oh, they're that awful person who did this and this and this to me, poor me, right? As opposed to, okay, I'm choosing to have this response and this reaction to that person, right? So they don't have that power over me unless I give them that power. Okay, they still could be that boss that's like, oh, it's curious how that boss, behaves around me and what they say to me. Oh, it's very curious, but we don't have to take it personally. But we do, and we blame them. So the number one thing is, I forget, sorry, what the question was exactly, but
What causes thinking?
sorry?
What causes negative thinking?
What causes negative thinking? So what causes negative thinking is our perspective when we're deciding they're doing that to me. Instead, I'm doing it to me. They're doing a thing and I'm choosing to believe that they hurt me. Okay, obviously, I'm not perfect at this. I feel hurt by people and situations as well, but I have the clarity to know that, okay, I'm choosing that. I'm actually choosing that, and I can work through that reaction, whatever reaction I'm experiencing, and that negative feeling. I'm causing actually all of that. I was going to say the majority of it, but the truth is all of it. I trained with Byron Katie, and I certified in a process called the work of Byron Katie, and it was the most eye-opening. It took me 3.5 years to train, and then I worked in it for several years later, but it was so eye-opening to realize, oh my God, it's nothing to do with my external world that's causing my pain. It's all inside, because the work of Byron Katie is 4 simple questions, and the first one is it true? Is it true? They hurt me. That person was mean to me. That person was, and it's like, is it true? Were they? They said that, and it's really powerful when we can see things from a different perspective and realize that it's, as Byron Katie says, reality is always kinder than our story about it. And what causes negative thinking is a story of, that it's really painful what they did, what they said, and believing it's personal.
Yeah. And can negative thought be stopped? If yes,
Absolutely. 100% by questioning our thinking. I would recommend that if anybody who's in a real negative thinking spiral, to check out the work of Byron Katie. Her website is www.thework.com, and there's so many videos on there for free and on YouTube where you can look at how she works with clients and demonstrates how they were before and after the process, and just by questioning their beliefs around the situation, and their heart opens and they realize, wow, oh my God, that was just a story I had in my head that wasn't the reality. So can negative thinking be stopped? Yes. I mean, you can't say stop the thought and it stops. It's not possible. But as Byron Katie says, it's the thought leaves you because it's no longer true, so it just fades away and you have a different perspective about it.
Yeah. How to think positive?
I believe that takes work and practice. Personally, if you're not by nature, and by nature we're not as humans really defaulting to the positive, it's also self-protection. What if can protect us? We build that up. What if something goes wrong? But how can we think positive? So affirmations is a great way. Writing down on paper. What I do is I journal every morning, and I look at. So if I have something negative, some challenge, I will say, okay, how do I feel about it? So, it'll often be like scared, angry, upset, whatever. And then how do I want to feel about it? I look at, well, how do I, the highest version of me, the most evolved version of me, how do they want to feel about it? I think about it. Okay, I'd want to feel that I trusted this situation, whatever it is, that it's happening to make me stronger as a person. And, if I can even feel gratitude for whatever challenge is arising and trusted, for example. And then after, how do I want to, then I write in my journal, I choose to feel like that. I choose to. We have a lot more power than we think, but looking at, yes, that's the way I choose to feel about this situation. It's so empowering, rather than, oh, poor me, there's this awful situation. It's like, I choose to believe that this is happening. Let's just say, in business, if something went seriously wrong and it's like, oh my God, this is a catastrophe, help. It's like, I choose to believe that this is happening for me to be stronger, and it's going to serve me well, so that in the future, I know how to help others get through something like this.
Yeah. And
Actually, sorry, I can give a tip around that, Kevin. This is something I remember somebody sharing this with me. It's just so simple. It's
yeah,
if you had to create a program, an online program for somebody, whatever challenge, if you have negative thinking around something, whatever challenge you're experiencing, think, what if it wasn't me, it was somebody else, and I had to create an online training, an online program for them on how to overcome it. What would I include? How would I do that? And then it's less personal. You're like, okay, I would tell them to do that, do that, do that, and then you do that yourself.
uh,
That's a simple tip, but it works really well. Can I just I'm sorry, I hope that it's okay to do this, to share that next week I'm offering a free 7-day challenge to create an online training. So it could be actually useful for people who want to get out of negative thinking. We teach what we need to learn. So it's like, okay, I really want to overcome that, and then maybe do research on it and create an online program on it. That's honestly might be life-changing for some people.
oh yeah, definitely. Someone may develop a positive mindset but become negative due to life situations or difficulties.
Yeah.
So, how to develop a long-lasting positive mindset or a positive mindset during difficulties?
That's a great question. Yeah, no, it's very true. And who knows what the future holds for me? I mean, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, is very real. So, when you experience something really traumatic, and traumatic can mean different things to different people, but depending on how what we've experienced in our lives before, how well we manage situations, but it can really. I mean, gosh, some really traumatic things happen to people. Like, oh yeah, I watched somebody speak last week. She was fantastic online. She was speaking about they had 4 kids. They were just financially finally in a great place. Their businesses were taking off. Everything was fantastic, and their kids were big enough again for them to finally really strengthen the relationship. She felt so much joy. And then he died in an accident, and it was a year and a half after that she was speaking, and she said her world fell apart. So that's really traumatic, obviously. But she said that when they were driving back, he was found. He went missing, and he was found a few days later. And when she was being driven by her friend to tell her children, she said in the car already, I'm not going to let this break me. I've got 4 kids, and it's such an inspiring story, and it's an example of you know even devastating circumstances we can come back from. It doesn't mean that the sadness would go away, but we can choose to use that. She used it. There's a phrase called "use your mess as your message," and that's really what she was doing, using her mess, using something tragic that happened, and saying to people that even in those tragic circumstances, if I could remember her name, I would share it. Now I can't remember, but she's one of many. I think a lot of people who experience really challenging things go on to share and inspire others. So that's one way of deciding, no, I'm not going to let this break me. I'm going to rise above it, and I'm going to let others know how they can too. So that's the best case scenario. I mean, I can't judge, because some people just don't find that strength, but
Yeah,
I would say try, fight for yourself. And of course, therapy to overcome trauma I would recommend as well, to process whatever pain or grief is there as well.
yeah. And does it take long to develop a positive mindset, or anyone can develop it in a short period of time?
That's a good question as well. I remember early in my coaching journey being on a workshop. It was actually, this is funny, I just was thinking of this last night. It was a program I joined, and it was like in an Australian mentor, and it was 4 a.m. I think my time that the training was. And I got up in the middle of the night because I was so psyched to learn from her. And I remember the first thing I wrote down, and it stayed with me forever. It says, your reality can change in an instant. So when you say, does it take long? Not necessarily. If you get an aha, somebody might see this and decide, okay, that's it. I'm going to change my life for the better. I really am going to fight for myself. I'm going to, and the first place to start is to create a future vision that excites you with that growth mindset, and decide, I can do it. There's so many inspiring stories out there of people who have turned their lives around. So you can say, oh, well, it might take me a year or two. It can do, of daily working at it. Or you can say, from here on in, that's it. I have had enough of feeling so much pain. I am now choosing to feel gratitude. That is the number one thing that will help to foster a positive mindset. Noticing every little teeny thing. There's so much magic in our world: sunrises, sunsets, nature, people. You know, you can find joy in so many things. Color. I mean, the color of the books behind me. You know, just
Yeah.
noticing all those things and just feeling awe for it. Maybe you're not going to feel awe for colors on books, maybe not, but maybe you will someday. You know, it's like we miss so much because we're in fear, in stress, and in survival mode. And when we can take a pause to slow down and notice all these things and spend time in nature. Nature is so nurturing, and just go back to the simple things and find joy in simple pleasures, then that's the start of working on a positive mindset.
Wow. And what are some of the benefits of thinking positively?
It's completely life-changing. It's actually so the benefits of thinking positively, remember I said that your outer world is a result of your inner world.
Yeah.
So whatever is going on in your inner world, it's going to be reflected in your outside world. So if you're going around full of gratitude and awe, and just, you know, when you see people and you feel grateful to connect with them, and just you're just noticing all the simple things. I can say for my life, you know, it's just there more and more, just gratitude for those simple things. And my life has radically changed. You know, I feel joy. I feel immense joy. And I'll be honest, I said this to a friend on a voice message a few days ago. It was just a Saturday morning and there was no reason for it. Just, and I felt grateful to feel that joy. I don't feel it all the time, but just, I thought, don't let me ever lose this. I don't know in the future if I will. I feel like my life is going to get very busy with my work, and I don't ever want to forget, you know, and I hope it just expands more and more, because it feels really good. So it's totally life-changing. And believe me, I've literally been in bed pulling my hair out in distress. And this is a long time ago, but I've had a very negative mindset, and, you know, it was full of blame for others, which is very, very painful and very sad, but I knew no different. And it was because of that pain that I went into personal growth, and now love to help others to, you know, it's an inner job to decide from now on, I'm going to see the world for what it is, which is incredible. Obviously there's a lot of pain in the world too, and evil in the world, but the best thing that we can do to overcome that evil is to work on ourselves, and then be that light, to shine that light into the world. When we feel joy, when we feel gratitude, to be able to share that, you know, it starts with us on the inside. Instead of like spending our time, oh my God, this is not what to do. Do not moan about the state of the world. That is like, you know, it's like, in French they call it les râleurs. It's like people who like just give out about stuff, and it's like, you know, you're just putting more bad energy with the moaning and complaining. So instead it's like, okay, how can I find joy and appreciation in my world, and, you know, find the things in the world that are working and speak out about those, and, you know, shine that, you know, emanate that joy. It's like it's vibration. We vibrate at a frequency, basically. So you want to vibrate at a frequency of love, gratitude, appreciation. So I would say also what's really important is give up complaining, give up moaning. No place for it, because you know, I think, and it doesn't mean that you're like, I was going to say it doesn't mean that you're deluded, but actually, apparently, I heard this a few days ago and I thought that sounds about right. Deluded people are the happiest in the world. And, you know, I mean, you don't want to be totally deluded and out of touch and not be able to connect with people, but, you know, why not have a bit of delusion? You know, this is coronavirus time, and it doesn't mean, oh, because of the corona, that's another story. Because of the coronavirus, then, you know, it's just not possible to feel joy. It's like, it's an inner job. It's an inner job, you know. There's still, during coronavirus, so much to, you know, even increased opportunities for connection in some areas.
Yeah. Wow. And do you think physical exercise can help someone become positive?
I think it's essential. Well, no, it's not. I can't say it's essential because I know there's people that are, really. I can't remember his name, but he died recently. But he's got no arms or legs. Or he had, oh gosh, he was in a wheelchair. But basically, so I'm just thinking, well, actually, he used to work out. Now that I remember, he used to work out. So yeah, even if you're physically compromised, you can. I believe personally that it's very important for blood circulation, for feeling physically healthy and strong. Strong body, strong mind. Strong body, strong mind. I do believe that there is a connection. I practice yoga every morning.
Wow.
Now, I've only been doing it religiously since 6 months, and I just cannot stop now. It's like it's just part of it's like brushing my teeth, and I do believe that that's helped me also just to feel that balance. And I do for at least a half an hour and up to an hour. Plus I do some weights as well sometimes. But that for me is an essential part of my well-being. I love it, and yeah, I think it's very important for the body to feel grounded, to feel connected with your body, whether it be from dance or cycling or walking is fantastic, running, whatever you enjoy the most. But it's essential, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. And do the people we surround ourselves with affect the way we think?
Yes, I think I was going to say, I mean, not 100% because you could be surrounded by negative people and still, choose. If you think of Viktor Frankl, he was in concentration camps. Have you read Man's Search for Meaning? It's an incredible book about his experience in the concentration camp. And obviously, he's surrounded by people who are thinking negatively with good reason. They're all dying of starvation and they know that their time is limited. But he chose to keep upbeat, and there's one place in the book where he talks about how he gave an inspirational speech to his roommates when they thought, well, there's a very good chance we're going to die soon. So now that's an exceptional situation. In general, I would say they say, the experts say, that we are the sum total of the 5 people that we surround ourselves with the most. So choose carefully who you surround yourself with. So yeah, I think for sure myself, if I feel that my energy is low or drained after being around somebody, then I'm choosing to protect my energy, and I don't want to be around them as much. Or even on the phone, if I notice after a conversation that I feel kind of energy drained, I'm going to protect my energy. Yeah, and I notice, I've some friends that I feel very positive and upbeat after being around, so that they feed me, and that's really important. Yeah, so 100%, if you're spending a lot of time around somebody who's basically consumed with the media and fear around coronavirus, for example, and talking about scary predictions, and if you're around them all the time, of course it's going to affect you. Kind of like, oh gosh, yeah, it's going to affect you think you're going to say, oh no, I've decided I'm going to be positive from now on. You can't be around that person for too long, or if you are, then change the subject. ask them about the trees in the forest or something. You've got to definitely preserve, and that's radical responsibility is needed for that. To that comes from us. Again, we cannot blame. We've got to take responsibility for distancing ourselves from negative people and fixed mindset people, and turning our attention more towards positive people and situations.
Yeah. And is action a crucial part of positive mindset? Because many people think positively but don't take any actions to manifest their thoughts.
So is action a crucial part of it?
Positive mindset.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it takes work. It takes work. It didn't happen for me overnight. I'm not saying it can't, but it took a lot of work. I continue to do it, right? I'm far from perfect. It's easy for me to preach about this, but I'm like, well, I don't get hooked into it as much now. I'm much more aware, if I notice myself going into a negative mindset, but some things hook me sometimes. But it's my responsibility to unhook myself. It's 100% our work. And if you haven't mastered that, hire somebody, invest in yourself. That also, I have a bit of what's a one of my pet peeves is just, when people will say, oh yeah, I just can't manage to, get myself out of the negative thinking, whatever. Well, then hire somebody who will help you and invest your money in that. That's investing in yourself, because your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. So if you want to be happy, if you want to have a happy outer world, you got to work on your inner world. And isn't that worth investing in? Like all your money, all your savings, because you can have millions in the bank, but if you're not happy, what's it worth? Or you can have zero in the bank. I'm not suggesting everyone just empties their bank account for it, but just to show the example, you can have zero in the bank, but if you're full of joy and gratitude and trust about life, isn't that worth it? So invest in yourself. Pay qualified professionals, pay people who have walked that path, and if you're thinking like, oh, that's too expensive, are you not worth it? Are you not worth it? It's valuing yourself and valuing your quality of life. So invest in yourself to help yourself, I would say. I've invested so much money. Some people think I'm crazy, but I don't regret a cent of it.
Yeah.
I could be sitting here feeling miserable, and instead I'm feeling joy and gratitude and
Yeah.
enjoying this conversation.
And many people have negative friends that cause them to have low self-esteem and look down on them. But they struggle to stay away from those negative friends because they don't want to offend them, or maybe they care what they're going to say about them. So, what
Yeah,
advice do you have for such people?
courage. Courage. They need courage. They need courage to be okay with offending those friends, because those friends can also choose to step up into a positive mindset or not. So if, for example, hypothetical scenario, you have a group of friends and you notice it's just negative, and they're not supporting you with your vision, for example, and they're putting you down or teasing you, common among friends. But when you notice that it's kind of, it smells a little bit, that they're not really saying, yes, go for it, you're doing great, for example, right? Then distance yourself. And if they're like, hey, you're not hanging around us anymore, you can be completely honest and say, look, it's really important to me, my future vision, and I just felt that you're, maybe don't understand that. And you could let them know. But if you think that they're just gonna not get it, then trust that they'll deal with it. And that's the sad part of it, that we lose friends. And it's actually a very common reason why people avoid success or getting ahead or having a positive life, because they're afraid to hurt people. Family members. One situation stands out. I remember working with a client, and it was her aunt. She was so worried about upsetting her aunt. Her aunt meant a lot to her, but her aunt used to tease her about her success and kind of, oh, you're becoming Miss kind of, like a, teasing her about, all the money she suddenly had. And so that can stop people, or they shrink in order to feel accepted. And I guess the bottom line question is, do you want to please those people, or do you want to please yourself and have an impact in the world and, be a positive light in the world? So for me, it's very clear. I'm okay. It's sad, obviously. Yeah. And I have made that decision once or twice, and it is sad, but such is life. We grow through those situations. I don't want to be around negative energy. Obviously, if you have a friend in need who's going through a hard time, and that's not negative energy, you're going to be there as a friend. But if you feel that it's not being reciprocated, and for example, then that it's a one way and you're just all the time there rescuing them, for example, and you're not feeling supported in return, then then it's maybe time to just feel gratitude for all the good. It's kind of like what's her name, Marie Kondo. She's got a fabulous book called the art of the life-changing habit of tidying up, I think it's called. And she talks about decluttering. And if you're like, oh my god, but these clothes are really expensive or something, it's hard for me to part with them even though I never wear them. But she says, thank them for the joy that you had when you bought and purchased them, and for when you were wearing them, and then give them to somebody else who'll appreciate them, right? And it's a little bit like that, with friendships. If it's no longer aligned, it's like you can feel gratitude for what it was, and then c'est la vie, you know, that's life, you know,
Ouais, c'est
we
là.
move on.
Now, you spoke about the importance of positive affirmations. I believe so much in positive affirmations. I remember when I was about 10 years old, I told my parents, I mean, when I was in Ivory Coast, because I'm from Ivory Coast, and I lived
Right.
there for about 19 years. So when I was about 10 years old, I told my parents that I will work in Geneva in the future. And
Wow.
it came to pass 11 years later, you know.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I believe so much in positive affirmation that
Definitely.
everything you say is more likely to come to pass, either positive or negative. So what are the benefits of positive affirmations?
Oh wow, so they're magical, Kevin, and you've just shared an example there. So I mean, I think there's an author, and she wrote her future, and I keep meaning to do this. She wrote a book pretending that it already had happened of her future, and then it did come to pass. That's an example, just writing it down, the power of, you know, believing that it's true even if it hasn't happened already. But there's so many examples like that. When you share that story, I'm just remembering another. I was at a workshop last year, and there was a speaker from, can't remember where in Africa he was from, but he was basically, he was, you know, he wasn't educated, and you know, he lived with his mother, and he was just in a very small village, but he had this dream to meet Will Smith. You know what happened? He went, I'll keep this story short. It's an incredible story,
Yeah,
but it's about affirmations. And you reminded me with your story. They had no TV. He went to his friend's house, and there was a black man on a horse in the movie. And he thought, and I think he was 12 years old, yeah. And he thought, oh my God, you know, black men can ride horses too. I thought it was only white men. This man is my hero. I want to meet this man. He decided at 12 years old. He discovered that man was Will Smith. And he prayed every night, I'm going to meet Will Smith. God, I want to meet Will Smith. He told his mother, I'm going to meet Will Smith. And where was it? Was it in Tanzania? I think it was Tanzania. Will Smith ended up filming there, and he ended up working in the kitchen on the set. And Will Smith, he passed a note to Will Smith. He was like, oh my God, I dreamed of this, of meeting you. Very long story short, because it wasn't easy, but he ended up working for Will Smith in Hollywood. That's the end of the story. He doesn't work for him anymore. Now he's an inspirational speaker, because it's the power. He talks about power of affirmations and the power of, you know, just holding that vision. It's pure magic. So I 100% believe in affirmations. And to be honest, you know, that's something I go through phases of. I kind of forget, like, wow, they're so magical. So I go through phases. Sometimes I'm brilliant. I was going through a phase of writing 50 every day, because I realized I can't not do this. So I was literally numbering 1 to 50, and I would get it done in about 17 minutes. It was part of my daily routine, which I lost, but I must get back to being that strict about it, because for sure, many things in my life have happened as a result of affirmations. Yeah.
wow, that's wonderful. So thank you, Niamh, for sharing your knowledge with us. That was outstanding as usual.
Oh, thank you. It's such a pleasure. Thanks, Kevin. I'm grateful that you asked me onto your set again to be interviewed.
No problem. It's always a pleasure to host you on my channel.
Thanks, Kevin.